H here. In today's video, I'm going to discuss things good-natured people do. Just remember, everything in this video is coming from my perception and viewpoint. Take what advice you want and let the rest slide right off of you like Teflon. Let me first reiterate that we are all only human. None of us are perfect, nor should we strive to be. Each of us has flaws. Each of us will have times we screw up, hurt others, or get things wrong. Even when we are guilty of any of the before mentioned, it does not mean we are not a good-natured person. It means we are a real one. I think it comes down to intent. I mean, very few of us want to f up, and most of us don't go out of our way to f over others. But sometimes we will make wrong choices, not with deliberate intent, but because we were momentarily mindless or genuinely oblivious. Not to say as humans we can't have moments of selfishness either. Sometimes we may even have to hurt others for the good of our own well-being. I personally think for the most part, so long as we strive to be good people, to do good and bring good, then this constitutes us good-natured. The most of us have the capacity to be good, but we just have to strive for that. Once again, the intent must be steered on the side of good always. Good-natured people will often think of others more than we think of ourselves, sometimes to our own detriment. Obviously, we can't let ourselves be used and abused by others by giving in to their every whim and desire. But let's be real here, we won't be winning too many nice points with the universe if we go around being selfish either. There has to be a good balance of give and take, and good-natured people are very well aware of this. And before we do things, we mostly consider how our actions will affect others. Of course, this doesn't mean we won't unconsciously hurt others through our actions, because again, we are not perfect, but for the most part we will go out of our way to try not to. Good-natured people are often very trusting too. We tend to take people at face value, and let me tell you, this will at times come back to bite our ass without question. We don't tend to seek out the negatives unless they are smacking us upside the head with their bleating obviousness. When we do spot the negatives, it's often only after other people or our instincts have gone into alarm mode, triggering something in us that suddenly heightens our awareness into reality. Sometimes it's too little too late. We've already been burned by their toxic fumes. The good in us can sometimes struggle to see the bad in them initially, but once we see it, we can't unsee it. And we'll want to ensure they don't also hurt others. We often don't anger easily, but this is not to say that we don't anger at all. As humans, we all have a limit, and when someone keeps feeding the bear instead of honey, the bear's gonna get angry. But if we've been striving to be better versions of ourselves, then blowing a gasket at the drop of a hat is less likely. We are also less likely to hold on to unnecessary grudges. Sure, unless we are idiots. Once we have been bitten, we are more likely to become twice shy. But that is a survival mechanism and hardly detriment to the good in our nature. Just because we don't hold grudges does not mean we will be gullible and go back for more gobshite. Once we are done, we are done. But rather than carry around any anger towards any muppet that's hurt or wronged us, we are more inclined, rather than let them us off emotionally, we them off completely. Forgive them, them off, forget them. Obviously there are some things we cannot forgive. Just them off and forget them. I mean, there's those that are obviously better people than me because they can forgive some for things that I would deem unforgivable. But in saying that, I believe that comes down to toleration levels and not goodness in nature levels. We accept we're all different. This does not mean that some acceptances won't come with some struggles. Because hey, some acceptances come as a shock to all we've ever known and believed in. But for the most part, after time to process this, acceptance not only comes but becomes a part of our own personal growth. A good-natured person will stand strong in their truths, even at the risk of alienation. Again, we are only human, and most people, if they're honest, are not above innocent little white lies. Of course, these do not come with ill intent, but more so often to avoid hurting another unnecessarily. Rather than saying to someone, I'd rather eat my own tongue than come to your party. We may say we have a headache or another event that will prevent us attending, but a good-natured person will never tell derogatory mistruth about another to gain favor with another or cause trouble amongst others. A good-natured person is more likely to try and play peacemaker where they feel there is hope for reconciliation. Good-natured people will wear their heart on their sleeve and be an open book, which can sometimes make others feel uneasy. That's not to say that those who prefer to keep things to themselves are not good-natured too. My point is, good-natured people are more likely to be an open book with their business as opposed to somebody else's. Good-natured people will appreciate the good people they have in their life. That's not to say that the good people in our life won't sometimes upset us or piss us off. This is natural. And it's not to say we won't sometimes vent to those close to us when they do. But we are more often venting to release the pain into the wind and gain perspective, as opposed to gaining people to take our side, because we don't necessarily see their sides when it's people we care about. We just want a shoulder to lean on. And good-natured people, unless they know we are unequivocally 100% in the right, will never take sides anyway. People argue, people fall out. And a good-natured person will either say their piece, block, move on, and let them go in peace. A good-natured person does not need to start a smear campaign or tarnish another's character to gain footing with others. A good-natured person knows that would make us look and be worse than the person being character assassinated. It does not mean that we don't want to highlight their upness for all to see. We just know in time that they'll do that themselves. A good person will be openly polite even when we want to tell the other person to go off. I've said hello to people I've had fallouts with. Do I want them back in my life? Of course not, but I don't wish them harm either. And why say hello? Because whilst we may not necessarily respect them, we respect ourselves. Good-natured people will have fallouts behind them, but won't fall out with almost everyone they meet. It's human nature to have disagreements, or even over time realize someone wasn't whom we thought they were, or just isn't for us. It's not the fallout that makes one a good or bad person. It's the behavior after the fallout that determines whether they're a good or bad person. Anyone that goes around spilling secrets, spitting venom, or wishing bad upon another is toxic as hell and rotten to the core. Fallouts are always going to happen because it's impossible to get along with everyone. And sometimes troublemaking sticks intervene too. Unless someone wrongs us in a way that would be seen as abhorrent or illegal, then there is no excuse ever to be abhorrent in our treatment of them. And the karma we wish upon others will most likely be the karma we bring upon ourselves. Every bit of pain or upset we intentionally inflict upon another, I believe we have unwittingly also inflicted upon ourselves. Good-natured people know that what goes around comes around. Again, this does not mean that we will not slip up and say hurtful or stupid things, whether in the heat of the moment or if enticed by mindless gossip. Things we will regret. We are flawed and it's going to happen. But a good-natured person will recognize these ups in themselves and will grow from it. A good-natured person will be generous too. My mother and closest friends are always telling me I'm generous to a fault. And man, I've been bitten hard by mouths I've metaphorically fed. It's taken a lot of being taken advantage of to be more selective with my generosity and to now only give where I know it can genuinely benefit or be genuinely appreciated. Good-natured people are infrequently selfish or out for themselves. Too many these days are self-serving, and if you give an inch, they'll take a mile. Took a long time for me to realize that we can give and be good-natured people. And we can sometimes take what's meant for us and be good-natured people too. Being a good-natured person does not mean we have to lie down and be walked over. A good-natured person can also stand our ground and know it's okay to dodge the hits. A good-natured person is still a good person when they say enough is enough and the tolerations end on taking other people's. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to help my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like and smash the subscribe button. Stay awesome.
Break out of your shell, meet me halfway.